Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd, and I hope we've got something different to show you today. Something new. Well, what have we? Do you remember seeing this last June or July? I believe it was July the 9th. That's the caterpillar of Cecropia moth, and I took a lot of photos that day. I'm just showing you a couple here, I guess, but I want to show you what those turn into. And this one came out of its chrysalis on, the night before St. Patrick's Day, just around midnight. And there it is the next morning, outdoors. A little pixelated picture maybe, but trying to show quality through that plastic case because we didn't want to handle it. We didn't want to take a chance of not getting photos. And you'll see that these are not perfect, but you can go online and find Cecropia moth and find better photos, but gosh darn it, you won't find any more recent or local photos on there today, I bet. I do have a batch of these, I think, on Flickr already, and you can see better shots there and blow them up better and all sorts of things. But being inside the plastic box, these weren't really easy to get. This moth does not live long as a moth. It lives a long time as a caterpillar. In fact, that caterpillar lived in a box in the house, obviously in its chrysalis, until the night it came out and started fluttering wings. Well, how did I keep it overnight? Well, I did what the internet advised. I put it in the refrigerator, box and all. And next morning, I took it out. I took it all the way to Springdale. You can see the leaf-like feelers there. That's a characteristic of these, many of the big moths. Even some of the small ones, you just can't see them on the small ones easily. Anyhow, I took it and showed it to the garden club, the Flower Garden and Nature Society, and shared it. And a lot of them knew about them. Some had never seen them before. These are some of the native wildflowers on Pinnacle Prairie, also on this previous weekend, which would, today's the 19th. I think that's my daughter's birthday. And I haven't seen her today. I hope I will tonight. Anyhow, those are some of the yellow native wildflowers out on Pinnacle Wet Prairie, and you saw insects on some of them. And back to that Cecropia moth, they can't take advantage of the flowers. They can't eat. They can't drink. They only live 7 to 10 days. And unlike the butterflies that come out and start looking for some nectar, those guys do nothing but look for a mate. The female sits up in a appropriate tree, and there are a bunch of fruit trees that are particularly good host plants for their caterpillars, eat the leaves, and they will lay the eggs on one of those trees that's appropriate, and the after mating, and the males will fly for miles and miles to find a female, I'm told. And for some reason, this system works quite well in only a couple of weeks of life maximum. So until next time, just understand that this means that you need to value the caterpillars in the trees because they are beautiful, so many species, but this is one of the most beautiful. And if you spray your trees because you think it's got some kind of caterpillars, you'll kill all the caterpillars, including these magnificent things. It really doesn't hurt most trees to have some of the leaves eaten, but what hurts the trees is destroying them, as they're talking about doing in a good part of the national forest, at least destroying targeted species and changing it to open woodland. But things like young wild cherry trees that would be understory vegetation and many other things that we have right here in our city. I think World Peace Wetland Prairie probably has 10 different species of host plants for that particular moth caterpillar. Till next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd again, asking you to do your part to help keep the clean, the air pure, and the woods green. Hello, it's Aubrey Shepherd again with a few more photos from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And this is the 19th of March, 2012. There's a tiny, tiny moth, not nearly as grand as the Cecropia moth, but an interesting moth nonetheless. That's related to the hair-streaked butterfly, but it's called a tailed blue, and it's on a non-native dead nettle plant. But guess what? That nectar is important to it this time of year. And there are a couple of insects that are on a dandelion. You'll see a lot of even big butterflies late in the fall and early in the spring, late winter. When they come out early as they did this year, then they go to whatever's possible to use for nectar. I saw a lot of big butterflies in the last few weeks, but particularly this most recent weekend, just flying around looking for anything to nectar on. And they act like they're migrating, but mostly they're just searching for something. Here's another tiny moth. Didn't blow this one up so much, but it is another interesting one. That couple rides the streets around Hill Place Apartments, and they never wear helmets. And I really wish they would. I really wish the young students would keep their brains intact for use in studying and not risk them on our streets. Okay, you see that's the front of World Peace Welland Prairie. That's in the same picture. Have to look up on that wire and you see a cardinal. That cardinal's looking down at an insect. It's a little too tiny. I can see it, but it's a few inches away. And go back out, zoom back out, and you see that he's also overlooking the redbud tree there. It's very beautiful. There's, on my cap, there's a little spider, and I think we'll have another picture of that spider in a minute. But there again, it's a different shot of that tailed blue butterfly, and it's on grass in that case. There's another moth, a different moth. This one was actually willing to sit on my arm so I could get a close-up because it's also a very small one. Here's another insect I didn't get the name of, but maybe I'll get it right on the internet for you. And it was on, of course, some of the jonquils, using the... Okay, there is a flower fly, and it's one of many species that look similar. We saw a lot of those last summer and a lot of similar ones. And there's a view of it on a not so close up. There's a native that is in bloom right now at World Peace Welland Prairie. It's the only one of its kind there. Now here, this is my favorite Lonicera sempervirens, the native milkweed, and it's still beautiful. Aha, there's that spider. Before he got on my cap, actually, these are out of order, and he was on redbud tree, and they're just friendly. They, let him get on my hand. Actually, I felt something funny, and he was on my hair and then up on my cap, and that's how I managed to get the picture on my cap. Anyway, just value these things. You got to enjoy the diversity of nature because it's all good. Till next time, do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See ya.